What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the Brown Gent. In today's video, we're going to do an update on that YouTube crypto portfolio that we talked about a week ago. Talk about what's happened in that portfolio. Not so good so far, a bit of a spoiler, but we'll talk about why sort of those changes happened and what I plan on doing going forward, and anything that's related in terms of news to the tokens that I put into that portfolio. But before we get into that, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, and remember, this is not financial advice. You got to do your own research because I'm not going to do it for you. I'll just give you some of my information. You've got to rely on sort of your own wit. Remember, I'm just a guy on YouTube. Anyone can buy a camera. Anyone can make a YouTube channel. Don't rely on me. Don't rely on others. Do your own research too. All right. So wrong screen. Let's just sort of go over the portfolio. So we put $1,000 into this last week. So obviously not a good start. We're sitting at $890. We're down about 11% at this point. Makes sense because if you take a look at the crypto market for the most part is down 10 to 12% over the last few days. And that's a result of an announcement that came out from SpaceX potentially selling out of their crypto holdings. So this happened on Thursday, and for those of you who are watching crypto like a hawk, like I do, we saw a huge red candle, not just in Bitcoin, in sort of all cryptocurrencies. And remember, this is very short term. The market is always very reactionary, especially around Elon Musk. I don't know why, but for some reason, people look at him, especially when it comes to crypto, and they take a lot of financial advice from him. Remember Dogecoin? So what happened was we saw tons of crypto, not just Bitcoin, across the board, just completely dumping. SpaceX, on the other hand, probably sold their Bitcoin and their other crypto much earlier. But now the market sees it, and that's sort of the news that it needed to take that earlier liquidity that we've been talking about. But this is nothing to worry about in the long term. So as a reminder, this portfolio was set up to be 40% Ethereum, 40% Bitcoin, and 20% Avalanche. So it was 400, 400, 200 basically. Bitcoin's taken a significant hit, around down $46 here. Ethereum down 38, and AVAX down 28. Ironically, AVAX is down the least comparatively, which is not what you typically expect, given that it's an altcoin, and these altcoins are derivatives of Bitcoin and Ethereum. So what happens is Bitcoin will move likely sort of the smallest. Ethereum will move a few multiples of it, and the altcoins will move large multiples of it. And that's a normal sort of circumstance. And it's really funny because this came after there were so many news articles coming out talking about, is crypto boring? What's going on with the volatility? And literally, it's because we traded between 29 and 31,000 US for almost a month. But the day after those articles came out, you just saw a minus 12, minus 15% move in Bitcoin. So maybe they jinxed it. One of the things I'll always take a look at before we go into the specific tokens is I look at the crypto fear and greed index. I'm just going to zoom in here for you guys so you can see it here. What this means, and I've sort of covered this in the past, when things are very greed oriented, so on the green side and their greed, extreme greed, that's when you start seeing these massive corrections or massive drawdowns in price. And then as it sort of comes down this way, like closer to the middle where it's neutral, that's where it's so. Fear is actually the time where I consider buying, because fear is when people are actually looking to sell, and that's usually when you get a lot of good discounts. The way you can look at this is very much like the RSI. Over on the right side where it's greed, extreme greed, it's like when something is overbought. And the fear or extreme fear on this side is like when something is oversold. So I love buying things in the fear, especially the extreme fear. But there are only certain circumstances where we get that. Like at the peak of that red candlestick, or at the peak of the pandemic, that's when you see these extreme fear. And you saw extreme greed back when we were sitting at all-time highs for crypto and people were calling out $1 million Bitcoin in 2021. Hey, Andrew, how's it going? Glad you bought today. Yeah, that's fantastic. I joke about this a lot, but people have asked me to start like a crypto signaling group, and honestly, it would be the most boring thing in the world because I would say, do you want to make money in crypto? Buy Bitcoin, buy Ethereum, and just wait. Stack, 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 stack. Just wait, be patient. There'll be a time for altcoins, not financial advice. And that's actually a sort of good segue into a lot of people do not understand. I don't know why it's asking me this. Don't understand how the alt season works in crypto. So I've talked about this before using a different website, different graphic. Altcoins are typically very, let's say, tempting to most crypto investors because they are the ones that offer these like 50 to 100x returns. And the reality is, people don't come into crypto to make 10%, 20%, right? Even a double, people are like, a double? Somebody made like 10,000. Somebody turned $100 in Shiba Inu into like 300 million. And you want me to accept a 2x on my money? Please. So the way these alt seasons works is they're characterized when there's a huge surge in the price of altcoins. And you already know that. But what most people don't know, and I've talked about this before, it's the shift of the investment from Bitcoin, the leading crypto, into alternative coins like Ethereum, Ripple, Litecoin, Solana, Matic, etc. While Bitcoin holds the most significant market share in crypto, altcoins also make up a substantial portion of the market. During an alt season, the altcoin market tends to see unprecedented gains, sometimes outpacing Bitcoin's growth. And how the alt season works is it's rooted in the market dynamics of supply, demand, and investor sentiment. When Bitcoin's price has a strong rally, it often leads to profits for many investors. These investors then diversify their portfolios by investing in altcoins, hoping for even larger returns. The sudden influx of capital into altcoins drives their prices up, leading to the phenomenon of alt season. So the cycle often begins with a strong Bitcoin run, followed by a consolidation or slight decline in Bitcoin's price. This is when those investors move their profits into altcoins, sparking the beginning of the alt season. And this is exactly why I tell you, first start with Bitcoin. Nothing happens without Bitcoin. And so Bitcoin's currently sitting at 26,000. We'll go into it in a second. Actually, I could bring the chart up right here. So Bitcoin's currently sitting at 26,140 US. What happens here is Bitcoin has to go up significantly. Once the price of Bitcoin is significantly high, maybe it's 60,000, maybe it's 100,000, maybe it's 150,000, who knows? Once those price levels are met, people start taking profits because then they say, hey, the price is too high. It's no longer a good deal to keep buying Bitcoin. Let me buy something that's the value pick. What's the value pick? Well, the value pick will be the next best altcoin. So that's where they go to Ethereum first. So usually it goes, let's get Bitcoin price up, take profits, rotate those profits into Ethereum, which should be significantly lower, or in terms of appreciation to where Bitcoin has appreciated so far. Ethereum's price now pumps. And once Ethereum hits that same saturation level, that's when it starts dispersing into the top 20 sort of altcoins and a little more. And then once those values have gone up, well, now it's going to be super mania. And remember, each of these has significantly smaller market caps as you go down. So less money makes a much bigger move. And that's why you see these huge explosions of 10, 20, 100x in altcoins and 1000x in meme coins. It's because a dollar will move that much further. If you were to take the same dollar figure and push it into Bitcoin, it doesn't move that much because Bitcoin holds the most liquidity and the most value in crypto right now. But if you take $100 million and you put it into a $10 million meme coin project, probably like 1000x the price because of the way sort of that curve works. So Bitcoin is sort of sitting at 26,140. If you take a look over here, I'm just going to sort of zoom in the last like few months. We rose, we tested the boundary here at 24,750, and in the course of like a few days, we went all the way to 31,000, and we sort of sat there. And at that time, I had drawn out some potential scenarios. The first scenario was that we tested the liquidity zone sitting at 29,000 and rallied. The second was we broke through that liquidity zone and went to the next liquidity zone around 27,000 and then rallied. And the final was we would take out the last liquidity zone here at around 24,000 and then bounce up. What happened was the price came down, sort of traded in the liquidity zone for about a few weeks. Then with Thursday's sort of SpaceX news, the next candle down or the next level down, we broke through that liquidity zone. And now we're very close, about $2,000 away from that final liquidity zone. I think the bottom of this is supposed to be at 23,750. And likely we'll probably come down here, test it, tap it, and then rally back up. This is sort of, if you're a trader in Bitcoin, that is sort of how I would look at things. If you're an investor in Bitcoin, it doesn't matter. You want to look at these things and go, hey, I'm buying for the long term. I just want to increase the number or the amount of Bitcoin, the number of Satoshis that you own, because long term it doesn't matter. But if you're sitting there doing leverage and you're looking to like buy or sort of go long or go short, these are the things you should look at. You should be mapping out sort of supply demand zones and resistance and liquidity zones, right? So supply demand and liquidity zones. Liquidity zones are just the sort of available money that's sitting there, and that's why sort of usually institutions drive the prices down to grab that liquidity and then sort of shoot up. So that's sort of Bitcoin. And what we have to look forward to for Bitcoin is the Bitcoin halving, which is happening in about 250 days and 3 hours. That's approximately April 25th, 2024. Typically, you won't see Bitcoin like skyrocket then. Typically, it's about 6 months after the halving. So this is why I think end of 2024 will be the Bitcoin bull run, where we will likely see a sort of huge sort of rally. Also in this is the Bitcoin ETF, which, I think a lot of people had this false expectation this ETF would be right around the corner. These things take time to set up. We likely won't have it till sometime next year. That also is sort of causing this time-based capitulation. So that's pretty much it for Bitcoin. Sort of the thesis here has not changed. It remains the sort of ignition for the entire crypto bull run. So my plan here is to continue to stack Bitcoin. My next add to this portfolio is Thursday, I think, where I will add $200 every Thursday to the portfolio. I'll likely be adding $200 worth of Bitcoin, but we'll see. And all that means is I'm just stacking like my Satoshis. And then when we do get that huge appreciation, I will rotate out some of that Bitcoin into the other alts, because that's when you've already maximized those gains. Well, let's not take that money and put it to use and try to 10x it or 20x it in something else. Okay. Ethereum, on the other hand, as you remember from the portfolio, Ethereum is not down as bad as Bitcoin. It's down like $38, which would be $19 if you compare it to AVAX in terms of size. In this case, it's around 20%, 10%. I put $1,400 in, which is 40%. Oh, yeah. So I'm down like 4 out of the 40, right? So what happened here is this moved the least, and we're still trading within the zone. Like back here in June, we sort of touched this down here at 1650, 1640, and sort of just sat there around the $1,900 mark with a quick spike up to 2,000, and now we're sitting back down. Once again, this is another opportunity to sit here and just accumulate. And like, let's just take a look at the zone we've been trading in for so long, right? Between March and right now in August, we're sitting here just trading, and with a few sort of exceptions to the upside. We haven't broken down below 1,000 or significantly for a long time. And for the most part, that just means like we're sitting with a huge opportunity and upside to get back up to almost 5,000 US like we did back near the end of 2021. So once again, same plan for Ethereum, just continue to stack. I think there's some good potential here. For those of you who are unaware, there is still that Ethereum roadmap as Ethereum 2.0 got rolled out this year with the merge. And they're sort of working on other changes, sort of cheaper transaction. They're going to use roll-ups and such. We got extra security. They're going to find ways to withstand attacks in the future, better user experience. And, I think a lot of that has to do with sort of, I was talking to Doug Hype about this earlier, but for those who don't use crypto, it's so complicated sometimes. And we got to make this experience way easier, especially using smart contract wallets and stuff like that. And also just future-proofing the network for the future generations, especially for the development that's going on. Then finally, we have Avalanche. Now, Avalanche, for the most part, has actually not been doing well. If you look at it over the last 6 months to a year, Avalanche was actually sitting around $20 at the start of the year in January, $20 again in April, and it's literally just been on a decline since. And yes, while it did go from $21 to $11 over the course of 3 months, it then rallied back up to 15 before dumping back down and breaking the resistance that we had. And we're actually seeing we basically had the same resistance back in June, where we sort of tested $9.99 to the $10 mark. You know what? I will just draw a line here anyways, because that's something for me to keep track of. Let's put it here. Okay. And then if you consider sort of the upside for Ethereum, or not Ethereum, for AVAX, the real reason is the huge peaks that we saw back near the bull run. So back in 2021, we saw a price of 150 for AVAX. So that's a huge potential going forward, right? Just take a look at this chart. I know it's harder to see when you zoom out, but we sort of went all the way down to $10 back from July 2021, went up to 150, and now we're back to $10. So once again, this is why we talk about, when you think about these altcoins, you never want to hold an altcoin when sort of the Bitcoin rally is done. You want to sort of rotate into altcoins. I know it feels great to hold on to this long term. As much as you love it, try to bring all that money back into Bitcoin, Ethereum, or even stable coins, because you want to set yourself up for the next rally. There's no point sitting here and being a witness. So once you start seeing Bitcoin start to come down and tumble, just, hey, go like this. It's been fun. Once, and this is obviously in the bull run, you go like this, it's done. I'm going to rotate all my money into the blue chips, likely, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and stable coins to give you that funding money for the next time. So Avalanche is sort of one of my sort of bets for the future. I think it's a really good network. It's one of my favorite projects, DeFi Kingdoms, is on their subnet. But you've also got to sort of understand what to expect as Avalanche sort of retests sort of that June low that we had, and not forget that we have an upcoming event where there will be a dilution and tokens will be unlocked for Avalanche. We have the amount of 9.5 million AVAX that will be unlocked in 6 days, 3 hours. And it will be given to the strategic partners, the foundation, the team, and an airdrop. So it's just something to keep in mind. It's 9.54 million. And if you look at sort of the market cap of Avalanche right here, we're sitting at 3.7 billion. So it's not really that much. It's 0.3%. But it's just something to be aware of, because there will be sell pressure. So even if you have a market cap that's 3 billion, I'm not saying that this money will be sold, but people get antsy around this. So it's not even the fact that it matters so much. And the other part is, this is 2.7% of circulating supply. So that's something that you definitely want to keep in consideration. That's about 3%. So people might be selling off. We may see the price of Avalanche coming down even further. And for that reason, I'm probably going to rotate the Avalanche I have in my account. You know what? Now that I think about it, I know I said 40% max, but I'm going to sort of break that rule. I don't want to hold Avalanche. I probably just want to swap that into Bitcoin at these prices. And the reason for that is because I expect, I've talked myself into it live. With the 3% of circulating supply being unlocked, we saw something very similar happen on May 27th. Let's go back here. I think it was May 27th. Yeah. So we saw around here, we saw a drawdown from $15 to $14. So, it was down 8%. So it's something significant in my opinion. And I have Avalanche elsewhere, and Bitcoin has given us a great opportunity, sort of sitting here at 26K. Yes, it'll likely hit 24K. Once again, I'll have $200 in my account if that happens for the Thursday, and we'll do it then. So that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about in this video. I would love to, I don't know what happened over here. I would love to hear what your thoughts are. Are you going to play along? Are you going to have your own sort of mini crypto account, or are you using this sort of guidance to sort of figure out what you're doing? Remember, this is not my main crypto account, of course not. I just made this for the channel so you can play along. The goal here is to start with $1,000 US, add $200 every 2 weeks, try to simulate something that is somewhat reasonable for pretty much anyone watching if they want to do it. And then you can see how we can build incredible wealth even with this. And I'm going to continue to use this as sort of a teaching tool. And I'll be able to sort of share with you how much money has been put in and how much money is this worth over the long term, so you can keep tracking this with me so you can see, hey, was this a good idea or not? Anyways, if you got value in this video, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Help us get to 5,000 subscribers. And until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.